Okay, so, Dan, very quickly. Keep this really short. The exam. One of the things which I think is this week, I've noticed with interviews, what they've been doing, is they're good at asking advanced questions.
Yeah.
But sometimes some of the basics have been left out. And that's important for the exam.
It is, yeah. It's the basics for the exam. The bits we touched on at the end of today's session, so Friday's session, were the basics. So names, surnames, correct spellings. I think pretty much all of you are actually getting into the habit of asking for spellings, which is good. But just from today, like, you waited ages to ask a surname. There's a little bit just like you're kind of ruining your own chances of getting a good piece when you're kind of missing the fundamentals. If you think of it like the foundations of a wall, if it doesn't have like the bottom layer, the thing everything else is built off of, it's going to fall down. Your story will fall down basically. So you need to have those in. You need to think about the basics first. Structure
Definitely. For me, I think there's two areas which I'd go and say for original stories which are falling down. One is opinion as opposed to getting facts. So, but the other thing is the new sense in how they structure a story, getting the angle. What's the most interesting thing? And for me, I found even today when we were doing the flooding story, they was focusing on the houses, they were focusing on the vehicles being flooded, but not people. And for me, it's the wrong who. They're going for inanimate objects. I think we'd be better in the sense of we're getting less police kind of like the authorities.
Absolutely,
so that's
yeah.
But I think the next stage is to try and get, so we're talking about be short, be simple, be human, get the human beings in there.
Every tragedy involves human beings. They're the most important part of it. So focus on them.
Yeah. So that means that when you go who, what, where, when, we're trying to knock out of you just talking about the police who are investigating.
Yeah.
But then also go and think, who is the story about? Now, again, there's no mystery. There's no trip up in these stories. There's nothing.
Yeah.
There's no quirky little line. There's nothing buried.
You'll know exactly what the story is.
It's more, I think, having fun with the story. Sounds a strange thing, and I think they need to go and stress that. They need to think of the exam less like a student, more like a journalist. This should be an interesting story.
Yeah.
It should be, it shouldn't be too scary.
It's a nice challenge to have, put it that way. I would say, absolutely. Yeah, you need to enjoy it.
Yeah, and I don't think we're going to do anything that is scary in terms of the story should be straightforward. I'm thinking the timing should be okay. Today, we split in two groups. I found my group, I gave them 16 minutes, but I think 25 minutes. I don't know how we're going to do it. I reckon we will probably trim that. If they're all questioned out.
Yeah.
You and me can't just sit there staring for 25 minutes.
I think we'll probably end up trimming the time down. My group probably came in around 15, slightly ran out of questions before.
Okay.
Which is okay. We've got most of the fundamentals too.
Then we gave them 60 minutes today.
Yeah.
I didn't hear anyone squealing that wasn't enough time. So 90 minutes is going to be enough.
Should be a doddle.
But I think the thing is that the main thing I'm worried about, and I stress this today, is people leaving early because their mates have left.
Yeah.
There's an opportunity to read. I would say if you can, one of the things which I do, but I have to for various reasons, is to have my story read back to me to listen to the flow of the story. That's something...
Yeah. There are a couple in my group that did that today, which is great actually. So please do that. Find some way of listen to it back, because when you hear it, if you've made a mistake, it will stumble and you'll naturally sort of cotton onto it. That's a good way of doing it. But yeah, don't just feel pressurised to leave if your mates go. The time is there for a reason. I'd use all of it. Your story's going to always be improved. Always. There's always something that can be better. So just dig really, really deep into it. And I would say at the end of that time, once you've written it and you're confident, go back to the fundamentals again. Have you got the angle right? Is your structure okay? The quotes you've used decent enough? Is everything sort of weaved in where it should be? That's what I would use that time for. Literally go right back to square one, like week 1, week 2 of this unit, and just remind yourself, is everything in the right spot?
And I would advise people to spend this week, as we're going to say in the email to them, looking at stories.
Yeah.
I would go and say I've seen astonishing quality of stories. Like, for example, Charlotte's story about the homeless people in Boston.
Excellent stories, yeah.
Ridiculous. Abby's story about finances is crazy.
Yeah.
And then also Victoria's story about F1.
It was great.
Yeah,
it was great. Yeah, absolutely.
Any other final thoughts?
I would say and I don't know how much any of you are doing this because we haven't really asked the question, is like read actual newspapers and websites. Like if you're not reading the Echo almost daily, you're missing out on a lot of stuff because admittedly they cover most of our patches, but that's not so much what they cover, it's how they do it. There's a reason that stuff goes in the paper and it's kind of like very simplistic. I would always say immerse yourself in different types of journalism. But for things like that, you're looking at a decent structure, I would say. And some of the more national papers too, the reason they're printed and of a high standard is because of the way they're laid out. So I would always say, look at other examples of it and just see how they look, how they run.
Yeah, and then this is where a weird little thing. This may sound really, really strange, but rather than just read, actually find a story and actually write it out. Copy it out yourself. Write it longhand and just go and see how it's put together. Just a short one, 150 words, but just write it out and just go and see how they've gone and done it.
It's a good way of retaining actually the structure and how it flows.
Not type it, but actually write it out by hand and just go and see how they've gone and done it.
Yeah.
I think we're done. I think that's enough tips. We're giving them a week off doing a patch story.
Yeah. Lucky.
That doesn't mean you can't still find the story if it's bouncing around to save it and put it in the tank for later.
Absolutely.
Got the exam. Are you impressed with them?
I am. I'm pleased with how today went. The boxing and all sorts. We've kind of taken you out your comfort zones quite a lot on this unit for a reason. It's purposeful. So hopefully you're kind of finding out new stuff about yourself and the people around you, and also how you go and address these stories. How are you writing them? That's the idea. So I think hopefully everyone's got a lot out of it. So
okay, and good luck with the exam.
Most importantly, good luck.
Okay, take care. Bye.